Let's Josh Walker, assistant coach with us from Hawaii men's volleyball. Thank you for taking time with us at Off the Block blog. Can you give us your impressions on not just tonight, but yesterday against USC? What you've seen from your team?
Yeah, the idea with this trip is just get the guys out playing different teams and just trying to get them ready for the season, because the season's going to be here before you know it. So this time of the year, it's always good to be able to not only get to see other teams, but also get into other gyms you're going to play in. So that was great for like the Northers match, and obviously Pepperdine will actually come and will play in these gyms this upcoming season. And just as far as getting the roster and getting as many guys on the court as possible and keep gathering as much data as possible on everybody.
And something that you probably don't pay too much attention to in the scrimmage are the scores, but you guys completed a reverse sweep. How do you like that comeback spirit from your team?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we flew in Wednesday night, got off the plane, played early in the morning on Thursday, played late last night, and same thing today. We just seem like we've gotten off to slow starts. So the fact that we're able to come back and we're able to recognize ourselves before it's too late has been good. But that's something that we obviously want to be better at initially, is bringing the same energy and focus into the earlier sets that we've been doing in the later sets.
The team that you guys brought to Columbus last year was senior-led. You got Hendrik Moll, you had Janine Franciscovich, and you had Kapona Faye. Can you give us an update of where they are right now?
Yeah, Jennings and Pono are both playing in Italy. Jennings is playing on Modena with Bruno and Ingapeth and Max Holt, so he's on that team, and he's actually been hurt, so he hasn't played too much, but hopefully he gets healthy and he'll be able to contribute to being on one of the best teams in the world. And then Pono is also in Italy. He's playing for a team called Sora, actually with the Pepperdine alum is on that team as well. And they're not picked to do as well in the league, but Charlie actually went and saw them play a couple weeks ago, and they battled in the match that he saw. It's a great opportunity for both of them to be in that league. Hendrik is actually, of course, he hurt himself last winter, kind of ended up taking this whole summer off trying to rehab and get his ankle back right, and he's actually taken like a coaching role on in Norway. So he's back home, and he's been coaching a bunch. And then Ian McKellar, he is actually getting his master's. He's the other senior we had. He's getting his master's in the UK, and he's also playing over there.
Oh, nice. Good. The player that was missing from this trip is Austin Montetillo. Can you give us an update where he is?
Yeah, so Austin, he had some knee issues, so he's getting that checked out and making sure that he's getting to a point where his knees are going to improve instead of keep getting worse and worse. So he had a procedure, something light done to just kind of help with recovery and get his knees back to where they need to be. And hopefully we'll see where he is when he recovers. But we just didn't really need to bring him on this trip. He just needs to focus on getting his body right.
The one player that everybody knows is as a freshman is Gage Worsley. How has the transition been to Gage as the starting libero in this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the point where we're testing everything out, and we're giving a lot of guys opportunity. Mamane, who's obviously a senior, who's been on the roster, he didn't play too much. He didn't play tonight, but he's been right there with Gage in the practice gym, just as far as passing, and obviously Tui's been around, but he's actually been playing football, so we still have a nice depth at that position for sure. But Gage, obviously, his energy is undeniable, and that's something that we felt that we wanted to start the night with tonight, which has his energy and focus on the court, and just see how he handles being in a gym like this.
Is Tui making the red eye to Las Vegas tonight?
He's not. He's going to be with us this weekend.
And then another transition, obviously, is going from Jennings to Joe at center. What have you seen in the offseason in terms of that transition?
Well, it's not just Joe, but there's a lot of guys who are in the third year in the program. And even last year, Joe, obviously he didn't start for us, but he was really good for our B side. I mean, there's plenty of accounts we have where we were talking about how good our B side was, and that was a lot because of Joe. He and Jennings are different setters. What Jennings did, obviously, physically, how he could block, his offense is very, very unique to his skill set. Joe has a completely different skill set as far as what he's able to do well, and we're just kind of letting Joe kind of do his thing, and it hasn't been as much of a transition as one might think, just because we saw it every day in the practice gym last year. But just as far as what you guys are seeing, I think it's going to be a different look from our offense for sure this upcoming.
The player that really stood out to me tonight was Rado. Just awesome swings, both from the service line and in the regular attacks. How has he improved? Not just over the offseason, but the last year as well.
Yeah, we decided pretty early this year that we wanted to invest more in Rado playing opposite and getting more of the in-game reps. With that, we decided to move Stein over to the left for the same reasons, trying to make them be better prepared for any kind of situation. So just this part in the fall, we were able to make that switch, and Rado, he's just been able to come along, and we're trying to get him to look how he was at the end of last year and just be able to be that consistent player the whole time instead of just in moments. So for him, it's not what he does on one night. Can he sustain this level of play the whole weekend would be ideal. Same thing for Stein. How is he going to handle being an outside hitter in this situation? That's the kind of stuff that while we're taking this trip, because we're still learning.
Speaking of this trip, then how do you measure success?
Just make sure that everybody's focused and we're moving together, and just traveling in general, and that we all got these guys moving on the same page. Everybody's following the itinerary, doing what they're supposed to be doing, make sure they're focused and making sure they're warming up how they're properly. And there's a lot of things that go into this trip that aren't necessarily measured on what we're doing on the court. On the same level of what we're doing on the court, we have an expectation. We feel like we're going to be one of the better teams this year, and we want to come out and improve it on these games that we're playing on this trip.
Let's talk about that, the 2018 season. Preview for us. What are your expectations, and preview the Big West for us?
Well, there's going to be a lot of changes, and it's not just obviously the easy part to look at is the leagues. That's the biggest difference, and how teams fill their non-conference schedule is going to be interesting. And we see these schedules coming down and how teams are kind of filling the non-conferences. It's just going to be a lot of changes. So I think it might not necessarily be the best team initially, but it's going to be the most resilient team, who handles the changes the most, who's able to win great games at home and on the road. So those are going to be, that's what I think is going to be most exciting to see this upcoming year with all the different changes. And just as far as the expectation coming in the Big West, I don't see how anybody isn't thinking, well, we're going to be one of the better teams in that league. But it's a toss-up, because Irvine, they're going to have some studs on that team. Northridge, everybody knows that Northridge is going to be really good this year. Long Beach, obviously, they're returning their key guys. So just top to bottom, Santa Barbara, their team is older. San Diego, they still got their best scorer back. So there's a lot of things that are going on that we know about, but at the same time, with all the changes, we don't know how that's going to affect a lot of teams.
One thing I'm really digging is the return of the outrigger to its former glory, having BYU and Lewis and Penn State and you guys in, and that's four really awesome teams.
Yeah. So, I mean, just that tournament in general, historically, obviously, we know what it's been, and we're at a point where when we can invite all those teams back out, we can have those kind of tournaments up before. I mean, we still had the same tournament as far as having players from different leagues, but now having everybody making the outrigger the marquee tournament again is one thing that we're looking forward to as well.
Well, thank you for taking time with us. I don't know if saying good luck tomorrow is the right word, but I hope everybody is healthy and have a safe trip back home.
All right, thanks so much.